I'm Tom and I study business, informatics and sign language. I have autism and I find that it affects me in lots of different ways, both positive and negative. Not only do you have to think about what you have to say, there's in different social situations you have to act differently. Somebody's facial expressions mean you have to say some, projects that they're angry or that they're happy in the way that they say something, and that's very difficult for autistic people to understand how somebody's body language is different. I know people that have played poker and that are autistic and won so much money because they won't give away any facial expressions. Because I'm on the lower end of the spectrum, I doubt that actually anybody knows I have autism unless I tell them. Whereas if you're on the opposite scale, you pretty much know straight away that they have autism because they'll be very withdrawn, they won't show facial expressions. And because my understanding of autism and because my cousin's deaf and I've learnt to sign, that sort of helped me to understand other disabilities and understand what people are going through who have other disabilities, and therefore I've chosen a career path to become a teacher of the deaf to help children who have disabilities, and I've been involved in so many awareness events because I know how. Because when I was in middle school and primary school, it was very isolating because I wouldn't go out in lunch times and I would only hang around with the teachers. So college is different because in schools everyone's got their social groups, and in college it's more diverse. You've got all different people who have all different disabilities or different, because I know how isolating it is to have autism because you feel you can't socialise properly. Every day I have it planned out what I'm going to do for the day, so that if there is a change, then I've now learnt to deal with it. Before I would really struggle with it. When I was younger, I didn't socialise, didn't do anything, I was at the bottom of the hill. And then with the help of teachers and having some friends, I had to then learn how to socialise properly and how to deal with new situations. And by constantly challenging myself to put myself forward for all the opportunities and that the people who didn't have autism were allowed to do, that I then started to, slowly I got better and better at it, and I climbed further and further up the hill until I reached, now really, the point where I've got a good group of friends, I'm getting the right qualifications to do the career I want, so I feel that I should then help other people climb the hill. Everything that I do actually comes down to disabilities. If I do an English coursework and I get to choose the title, it'll be something like the one I'm doing now is making sign language mandatory for all, or it would always do stuff like that. And now with the YouTube channel to help people that don't know how to sign so that they can communicate better with people who are deaf or rely only on sign language because they can't lip read. I'm Tom. I have Asperger's and I'm on the student union team. the difference between autism and Asperger's is people with autism have slower development in speech. The spectrum includes everybody, but some people have more difficulty communicating and with everyday situations. I don't personally think that autism puts me at a disadvantage because it has allowed me to see and understand what it's like to be in a minority group, and therefore makes me want to help other people. Therefore, that's why I've joined the student union, the disability team, and the LGBT group. As part of the disability group, we've came up with the idea to have a logo or a badge that represents all disabilities in the college, this jigsaw piece. And the significance of this jigsaw piece is that each jigsaw piece is a different shape, a different colour, showing the diversity and differences between the different disabilities. I learned to sign because my cousin is deaf and I wanted to be able to communicate better with her, but I found that through learning sign language, it was a more visual way to communicate instead of having to read body language and facial expressions, and which allowed me to, progress in social circle. I don't know, progress socially, and gave me more confidence to speak to other people. Since being on the disability team, I have pushed for more awareness for disabilities and a social group. The benefits of having a social group would be to help others to learn the skills that I've learned to communicate. Because when I was in middle school, I used to hate break times because I didn't want to go out and socialise with my peer group, and I think that would really benefit here at the college. I feel it's important to have these groups because it allows people who find it difficult to communicate with their peer groups to do so in a safe environment with other people who have the same difficulties. I used to think that having Asperger's was a big disability or a big hurdle to jump over in terms of being able to communicate. I used to have everything listed. Having autism, I have to think about everything that one step faster, how someone is posing, how they, what their facial expressions is saying, to say, if they're just saying, come here, that could be they're happy, they want you to come here, no, they don't. Or it could mean that they're annoyed with you and they're about to, tell you off. I'm also very structured in the way I think and the way I plan my events. I have to know exactly what I'm doing with the precise times, and if there's a change, then I can, not anymore, but I used to kick off and have a set routine before when I wake up to the same when I go to bed, especially with my clinique. But yeah, especially with my skincare. That's where. Also the way everything is structured in my room, everything has to be in its place, like the wardrobe. If you open it up, it has to be, t-shirts, polos, shirts, long sleeve jumpers, jackets, and it would be tracksuits, jeans, chinos, swimwear, summerwear, shoes. everything is structured. I have to know where everything is. If anything's out of place, then I'm like well annoyed. And speaking and listening in English, standing up in front of a group of your own peer group and trying to talk about the topic that you've been asked is a minefield. It really is, because you have to try and be confident. You're marked on the way the way you're holding your hands, the tone that you use, and then you have to think about that, but then also say what you've rehearsed, and that, and if you don't, so therefore I always get a low grade on that. I don't know, getting on a bus, if the person asks you a weird question that you haven't rehearsed before on how to answer back, I then just freeze and don't say anything and just put my pass on there, wait till the green light goes and just walk on, because I don't know, haven't planned pretty much everything that every conversation I've had before and practiced on how to reply. So I don't know, just having the way when I'm learning sign language, we're taught to say hi and how are you. I've had to be taught the same. It's been practiced and drilled into me. When someone says hi, you have to say hi back, and the way you say hi. If you apologise, the way you apologise, you can't just say sorry. You have to, I don't know, look differently when you say sorry. Like when you sign sorry, you can't just say sorry. You have to say, I'm sorry. I don't know. That's still different. Like friendly people, but not autistic friendly people. You know what I mean? You're just shocked. You're just like, what am I doing? Because they're really in-your-face social. You don't have, and they speak so fast, and their facial expressions are constantly changing. It takes longer when you're talking to them, because you have to. No, it's harder to. It's not takes longer. It's almost near impossible to try and get your point across. You're just like, yeah, because you don't want to seem rude, but you are trying to catch up. But before you've catched up, they've changed and they're on a different topic already. Like they could be talking about how the weather's been horrible and there's floods and they've had trouble getting on the train, and they spoke so fast and they've showed that they was upset about that and annoyed, and then all of a sudden they're changed and they're happy and they're talking about a birthday they've planned. But I've sort of created boxes so that if I'm talking about the weather, I'll have access to all the weather topics and all the things that talking about the weather can lead on to. And then to go from birthdays, I have to then close that one and open that one, and I'm thinking, yep, so age and what presents to get people and how many people are going to be there, and then to close that one and talk about clothes and so what clothes are we getting is completely, it takes ages. I don't have any sense of stranger danger, or if I'm crossing the road, I won't look. Because I'm trying to think of all the other things that's going on around me, the cars and the sounds and the weather and what I've got to do when I cross the road and what I'm going to do once I've crossed the road. That all those things is completely, you then forget a step and you forget to press the button and you just go. And that's why it's really dangerous for me to learn to drive. But my ideal teacher would not just stand in the front of the class and explain the topic and writing it on the board, but would tailor the lesson to the many different learning styles: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing. So they could, for a task, they could, on leaflets, they could, or creating posters, they can give notes to the people that need reading and writing, have it drawn up on the board so that visuals can understand it, to explain clearly what the task is so that auditory can understand, and maybe hand out an example leaflet or poster so that kinesthetic learners can benefit. Each student at the college has a learning profile, and these tell teachers what individual needs they have, and so that teachers are prepared and can help those individual students. I think these need to be looked at and revised more, because being told that you're not good at something which you struggle with and teachers should be aware of is not encouraging and doesn't make you want to come to that lesson, and doesn't make you want to ask that teacher for help because you feel that they're not understanding in the first place. Another good thing is the green and red cards, as students who have a learning difficulty may have low self-esteem and just struggle to socially put their hand up and say, "Miss, I have a problem." Not miss, because that's just women teachers.
That's okay. That's
fine.
Right.
Miss, I have a problem. And by highlighting green that you understand and red that you don't, are basic colours that really indicate, without having to put your hand up, that you need help, and the teacher can just come and stand over you and talk it through, instead of having to publicly shame yourself that you can't understand it, and that students will look around and think, "Well, I understand it, why don't you understand it?" And then you get embarrassed, and it's just a nicer and easier way of asking for help. My ideal lesson would be filmed beforehand so that I could watch on the train or before I go to bed, so that I understand what the lesson will be about, and therefore when it comes to the lesson I will know the topic, and instead of having to worry about getting left behind and getting confused with what the teacher's saying, and worrying about having to ask the person next to me, I already know the task and I can just get on with it and work independently.